Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Your Business Show. I am your host, Milt Walker, joined today by none other than the man himself, Tony Calloway, the Private Money Godfather. How are you today, sir?
Maestro, man, it is a great, glorious, beautiful Saturday morning here in Columbus, Georgia. Folks, I keep telling y'all, if you have not been to Columbus, Georgia, you are missing out. It's a beautiful city, and certainly here it is a beautiful day, and we're so delighted to be sharing at least the next hour with you, our viewers, for the Mind Your Business Show. I thank you for making the show an important part of your Saturday and an important part of your life. I'm always bragging about this, brother, because we would not be here without you. In fact, we were talking about some stuff we want to talk to y'all about next Saturday. So make sure you tune in. But I got to ask him as always, Maestro, how's life treating you? How you living,
Uh,
man?
hey, life is I'm living good, man. Living good. Life is great. You know, just taking it all. Just accepting everything that comes and making the best out of it. And it always works out. So I'm very grateful in that. And I've been working on a few projects, and those are coming out very well. On the
Okay.
community side, and so that's a great thing. How about yourself?
Well, hey, man, we're working on closing the year out with a bang. And hey, look, if you have not yet joined, well, two things here. Join the 10,000 Dreams Challenge, and everybody you know, make sure that you share the link so that they can participate too. We really believe that we can make it where 10,000, yeah, 100,000, but we'll settle for 10,000 people can make $100,000 because as I said, you cannot lose with the stuff we use. We just got to get the right folks here, get them in here in numbers, and show you guys how we can change the world through this 10,000 Dreams Challenge. So we need you, yes, you, to go join, go to the Private Money Syndicate website, go to the second link on the menu. All right, those little three bar things, click on that, and you'll see 10,000 Redeems Challenge, enroll. And then, as part of that, share that link with everybody you know and encourage them to do the same. Because once you get 4 people enrolled along with yourself, then you become a certified dreamer. And we have stuff for the certified dreamers. You might even find yourself as a guest on the show. So as we're getting down here to Thanksgiving coming up, roughly 2 months left on the 10,000 Dreams Challenge. We're going to run that through the end of January. At least that's the plan. We really want to make a big deal out of you. So please make a big deal out of it. So yeah, 10,000 Dreams Challenge. We got to get you in. And our topic for this morning is investing in real estate. In fact, the topic is funding your real estate projects. How do you go about funding real estate projects? So, and raising capital. So we want to take this time to really kind of break it down for you, kind of go, as they say, slow motion like the Matrix, and help you to really see where all these little pieces fit together and how you can do it. Because ultimately, what we aspire to do here at the Private Money Syndicate is power your dreams with private money. So we want to make sure you understand all the sources, all the means through which you can invest in real estate. So before I get going full speed in slow motion, Maestro, who's already tuned in with us this morning, we can say good morning to.
All right, we got Satish VM Satman joining us, saying good morning, y'all. Good morning, Satish.
Hey,
Uh,
glad to have you,
Ebony
sir.
is, yep. Ebony is joining us, saying good morning.
Top
Edwin
fan.
Winton, yep. Edwin Winton is joining us, saying good morning as well, and everybody else is just watching there.
All right. Well, thanks, Heavy D. Glad to have you. Yeah, that's Daniel. He's part of the team down in Tampa, Florida, with operating in the black. Great operation. You guys come to the Private Money Syndicate, and if you need business capital, that's the man to help you with that. But right now, we're talking about real estate capital. Okay, so let me first give you the reasons why you, yes, you should invest in real estate. Well, first is for cash flow. All right, real estate is a great cash flow opportunity. In fact, I tell people real estate is actually the simplest, easiest business to be in. And here's why: because you have the house, okay, you have a tenant who pays rent, that's your revenue, all right. And if you know anything about accounting, the top line of a income and expense statement is revenue, all right. And you have your mortgage, you have your taxes, you have your maintenance. Those are your only three expenses. You don't have employees, you don't have operating costs, you don't have all these other things in the other kind of business. And so whatever's left over, and it's fairly easy to predict the numbers as far as what the interest rate is, how much money you borrow, and what the cost is going to be on the mortgage. The taxes are steady, the insurance is relatively steady, and the rest is what's left over. That's your profit. That's your gross profit. And if you happen to have to fix some things here and there, that comes out, and you generally have a very predictable source of income. And so one of the very important things that you want to have in business is recurring and predictable revenue. Would you not agree with that, Maestro?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Recurring and predictable revenue. And just think about it. You do it once, it's almost like set it and forget it for at least say 12 months or 24 months for the lease. Now, if you're doing apartments, maybe 6. I mean, how easy is that? Come on, folks. You really cannot go wrong unless you really try hard to screw it up, okay, with a real estate investment. So we want to make sure that you stay on the right side of the drive here. And so, yeah, so that's one reason: recurring, predictable cash flow. The second is appreciation. Appreciation is you buy something at one value, let's just say $100,000, and then over time, if nothing else, it goes up because of inflation. And we're dealing with inflation right now. All right. But from the standpoint of, the materials cost more, the labor costs more, and certain other factors can create demand where, a lot of folks move from the West Coast and the Northeast into the Southeast, and that's creating more demand for the limited supply. So those things push up the value, and that is called appreciation. Now, another thing you can do with real estate that you can't do with a lot of other things is you can force appreciation. Now, forced appreciation with residential properties is generally you buying it toe up from the floor up, and you make some investments to fix it up and increase it to what they call the after repair value, or ARV. So let's just say you bought it, 50, you put 25 in repairs into it, but now after that $75,000 investment is now worth $150,000. That you force that appreciation. It might have taken you 2 months to do that. Okay, but it gets reappraised and bam, it's at full market value after repairs. You can't necessarily do anything that quickly to make that kind of appreciation happen in most other businesses. All right, so that's the second one. And then the third one is, well, no, there are 4 actually. The third one is tax benefits. If y'all hadn't heard of this thing called depreciation, depreciation means something goes down in value, but in the case of real estate, it is a paper loss. Okay, so Google it, Maestro, see what the depreciation is on residential property for investment property. I can't remember if it's 27 years or did it go to 31. They change that from time to time. It's great to have somebody who can help you with stuff like this. All right, but okay, this is to say that if it were 30 years, you buy the house, and every year, if the house was, keep the math simple, let's say it's $90,000 is what you bought it for. Okay, so for every year, $3,000 to take 30 times 3 is 90. Okay, so every year you just get the write-off $3,000. Now, if it's 27 to 31, Maestro, how many years is it?
So it's 3.636% each year for 27.5 years.
Okay, all right, that's the actual
on investment properties.
That is correct. That's what we're talking about, investment real estate. Okay, now not on your personal home. You don't get depreciation on your personal home.
Right.
You don't get cash flow on your personal home. Now you can get appreciation on your personal home, but we are talking about investment real estate. Okay, all right. So you get this paper loss. So let's just say, for example, if you're making $200 a month in positive cash flow times 12 is $2,400, and that the property you bought was roughly, bought it for roughly 100, and you take in, we'll just say 30 to keep the math, you had $3,000 in paper loss, even though you put $2,400 in the bank. And that reduces your tax liability, because on paper, you had a loss of, say, 2,400 minus 3, you had a loss of $600 on paper, which you can use to reduce taxes on your personal income or on the rest of your portfolio or what have you. So again, the tax law is telling you, see, I always tell people that the tax law tells you what they want you to do. All right. They want you to make these investments in real estate, and that's why they give you these tax breaks. Okay. And then the last one, which I'd forgotten until now, the fourth reason you need to invest in real estate is leverage. Not too many things that you can do to go into business where you can finance Sometimes, if it's commercial property, maybe as low as 10-15%. And typically on residential single family properties you're investing in through using private money, I'll say 20-25%. And the rest of the 75% up to 80% is loaned to you by outside capital sources, whether it's a bank, whether it's a private money lender, or what have you. If you're going to go into any other business, you generally are going to have to put up cash. Whereas in real estate, you only have to have, say, between 20 and 25% of the cash, and the rest of it is part of just the institutional process of lending. That's why banks want to loan money on real estate. Private lenders want to lend money on real estate because it's collateral. If you don't pay, they'll take it and they'll collect the rent. They'll take it and they'll sell it at a profit. That's why they don't let you finance 100%, because you got to have some skin in the game, but that's that margin where they can quickly liquidate the asset. But we're going to talk about you being able to get started in real estate investing with a small investment relative to the value of what it is you're purchasing, and then you can push that value up by doing renovations and repairs, or, like I say, just holding it over time, or both of those, while you put money in your bank account each and every month and get tax advantages that keep you from having to pay as much in taxes based on the realities of the cash you made versus the tax liability that's reduced by depreciation. I love depreciation. All right, so that is the basics of why you need to invest in real estate. And Maestro, before I go any further, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat, because like I said, we want to slow this thing down and help you to realize how we can help you to power your real estate investing dreams with private money. So just as a brief recap, like I said, the simplest business to go into that I can come up with, now somebody begs to differ, please share that in the chat, is investing in real estate. It doesn't have very many moving parts, okay? Once you get it, once you fix it, and you tenant it, you collect cash, get tax advantages and appreciation. I just ran it down to you just that quick. Boom. Are you feeling me?
Hey, makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. So now, Maestro, anybody else tuned in before I get into the raising capital part? Because again, I say you don't have to have a lot of capital, but you do have to have some. So anybody else out there we can say good morning to?
Yeah, no questions or anyone yet. Yeah.
All right. Well, the good thing is it's recorded so that they can watch it later. All right. So I have some, I've gotten into this presentation thing. And so I've got a couple I like to have good, credible sources, folks. So I'm going to pull up an article from Forbes magazine that we're going to use to give the talking points here for the first part of our conversation. And then I have a second one that gets into some other details. All right. And so it's coming up, Maestro.
Just yet.
Looks like it's stuck here for some reason.
What is it? Does it say something?
Oh, well, it's just spinning. All right, so let me.
You did the.
This is weird. My screen's frozen.
Oh, okay. But you can see the meeting, right? You can see the meeting.
Yeah, I can see you and I can't.
Okay.
But I've got like the thing where I click on it, still like stuck here on the middle of the screen. Well, that's interesting. All right, I'll tell you guys what. We're going to.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, there. Okay, it just came up.
Okay,
you see it now?
Yep. Now I see it.
Okay. All right. I said we were going to slow it down this morning. You can't get much slower than that.
Well, we don't see it yet. We just see it says presentation. Is there? Oh. Make sure you go to the tab. Make sure you put share this tab for that particular tab. Make sure it's on there. There we go.
Okay. All right, folks, we're slowing it down for you this morning. All right, so since you now see it, it says how to raise capital for your real estate projects. All right, now notice, again, credible sources, Forbes magazine. Now, if you were to, research Forbes, if you're not a subscriber or if you haven't read Forbes magazine, they're one of the premier periodicals, magazines that's been out for a long time that addresses various topics in business and so forth. So anyway, the Steve Byron, the founder of Equisource, is the person who's bringing this to us. And as you see right here, it says reliable, profitable, and widely available real estate is an excellent investment choice. The benefit of real estate investments from tax incentives to reliable rental income are clear. All right, that's just a restatement of what I said earlier. And so let's get into what we want to talk about. How do we're talking about you again, how do I generate capital for real estate investing? Well, see, most people think of the bank, all right? And so we're not enemies of the bank here at the Private Money Syndicate, but we are an alternative to the bank. Now, let me talk about that because I want to, again, help you to understand what are some of the value propositions that are benefits to you as it relates to private money versus the bank. Now, first of all, when you go to the bank for financing, you got to have good credit. Okay, you got to have really good credit. All right. And another thing is banks are very or more risk averse. I've got to say that even private money lenders have risk as a consideration. But you know, if this is your first investment property, the bank's probably not going to loan you as much. They're going to look at your credit. And then the last thing, which doesn't make sense to me, Maestro, is that when you go to the bank for a loan to get investment property, they base the underwriting on your personal income. Like the real estate is not going to make money. As I said, if you know in an
Yeah.
area in a neighborhood what properties are renting for, let's just say they're $1,000, and let's just say that you're going to borrow 100,000, and I'm going to do just rough numbers at 4%, then your mortgage payment is going to be roughly $400. The taxes, which might be $1,200 a month, are going to be another 100. And insurance might be $1,000, which will be another 2. So your mortgage is 4, insurance is 1, your taxes are 1. So that's all the $600 of expense, but you got $1,000 of income. And they look at that like, hey, we don't count that yet. We're going to look at your personal income, which might not be much. So again, that's how the bank does things. Now, FHA loans are available more often than not for commercial multifamily real estate. All right. So if you're going to buy a 50-unit apartment building or something like that, the federal government wants to encourage private investors to create housing for the public. And so that is the Federal Housing Administration, or FHA, has guarantees for loans that are actually made through banks. But those are generally for your commercial multifamily properties. Now, when we start looking at the areas where you can get capital that is not from banks, you see the list here. Self-directed individual retirement accounts, or IRAs. Some people have IRAs where they can do a number of things that are authorized by the IRS as investments, and one of those is to invest in real estate. All right, then hard and private money loans. Now, that's the area that we principally work in here at the Private Money Syndicate, where other people's money that is not going through bank lending processes is made available to you as an investor to use for the financing part of your real estate investment as well. If we can work with you to get through operating in the black, in fact, credit lines or term loans for your business, actually you can use that as part of your down payment. So there is the opportunity to create 100% financing when we're using hard and private money loans. But again, you got to have a down payment. So if that comes from a loan, or if it comes from your personal cash, or it comes from a partner, it really doesn't matter. You put down 20-25%, the rest of it you can finance through a mortgage loan with hard or private money. Now, the difference between hard money, just so the delineation, both are private, okay? But generally speaking, Maestro, when they say a hard money loan, that's the money to make the initial acquisition and repairs for a property that's either going to be fixed up and flipped, or to be purchased and fixed up so that it can be rented. Now, if it's going to be rented, that hard money loan is going to have to be refinanced, because generally it might be for 12 or for 24 months. But ultimately, if you're going to hold a property as a rental, which is what we're focusing on today, then you're going to want to refinance that with another private money loan that's going to have a 30-year term, like a traditional mortgage you might get from a bank. But now let's restate those advantages of using the private. Okay, one is they're going to look at the realist. They're going to look at you that you generally need to have at least a 680 credit score, 650, 680, depending on the lender. All right. They're going to want to know that the property has a value that's going to make it adequate collateral, which is the appraisal is going to determine that. And they want to see what the market rents are in that area. Now, this is an important thing because sometimes you can rent a property for more than what the market is doing, but the lenders are generally going to look at the market rents if you have not had a tenant in there under lease for at least 6 months. So let's just say all these things are math equations that can be determined up front. And so if you got the cash to make your down payment, you got a reasonable credit score, say 650, boom, you're in. That's it. They're not looking at how long you've been on your job. They're not looking at your tax returns. And again, they don't want you to have 750 credit. All right. So again, those advantages of being able to get a private money or hard money loan. But the last advantage is for those who, like our good friend Maurice Jones, like bragging on the brother, is you want to build a big portfolio of real estate. None of these show up on your personal credit report. See, if you, Maestro, if you get a loan from a mortgage company or bank, traditional financing to finance your real estate investment, which you can, every time you do that, it's going to show up on your personal credit report. And at some point, the bank's going to say, hey, we don't want to be exposed to any more risk. You got 3 properties, 4 properties, that's it. You're going to get, in other words, you're going to have to tap out with the bank. So we tell people, especially if you want to get a portfolio of 5 properties or more, which is what I recommend here from the Godfather, is that you start and use private money loans. These are considered business to business loans because they have to close in your LLC, which is easy to form, easy to create. We'll probably do another show on that topic. And then you basically have that as the entity that is holding the note. In other words, your LLC, your corporation is owning the property and servicing the debt, not you, your business. Again, a simplest business to form is a real estate business. All right. And next we have peer-to-peer. Now, there are a lot of these platforms that are called crowdfunding platforms that allow people to create the same dynamic through technology that private money is doing through more institutional sources. Now, some people get peer-to-peer loans just because they know someone who's willing to be their mortgage lender, not the person who's going in as a partner to make the initial down payment, but long-term financing. Some people like holding notes, all right? But these peer-to-peer loans are people who pool money just like you would at the bank, just like they would be aggregated by a private money lender, an institutional lender like some of the ones we've worked with, but then they create the mortgage that is able to finance the property. So again, the same process is still a private type loan, but the funding is created through a technology platform, which is typically called crowdfunding. And then the fourth one is wholesaling. Now, wholesaling means that you buy a property with some, is actually you're creating a contract. Let me restate this. Let's just say, Maestro, you had a house that you were tired of, and you want to sell it to me in current condition for $50,000. But I know that based on my market research, if somebody came in and put $25,000 worth of rehab and work into it, that house would be worth $125,000 or $150,000. Yeah. So you and I sign a contract, okay? And now remember, a contract, I give you earnest money. Matter of fact, who do I know named Ernest? You know anybody named Ernest? All right. So
a few. I know a few people.
Anyway, this earnest money deposit, which let's just say if it's $1,000, it could be $500. I mean, whatever the person will accept as your earnest money deposit, that's the only cash you have in the transaction. So we fill out the purchase agreement, and it has a clause in there said or assign, which means I can assign this contract to somebody else, and they get all the rules and all the agreements that were laid out in this contract. So I'll give my earnest money deposit to Maestro here. Let's say it's $1,000. That's all the cash I got, and it could have come off a credit card, okay? Because it goes in the escrow. I mean, I need to have the money in case they cash a check, but I'm just saying it could just be a check for $1,000. In any case, I'm not trying to play around the edges here, but that's it. So from the standpoint that I find somebody else who wants to buy it from me, now I gave him $1,000. Agreement was I was going to buy it for $50,000. And if I find somebody to buy the contract from me now for say $60,000, then they pay me $10,000 to take over that contract. And so if my $1,000 stayed in escrow, if I didn't switch it out with them, doesn't really matter. But let's just, for the sake of simplicity, say I made a $10,000 profit by selling that $50,000 contract to buy that property for, excuse me, I made, yeah, for 10,000, I got $10,000 for selling that $50,000 contract for $60,000. And I wrote a check for 1,000 that I may or may not get back, but all I can say is I either made $9,000, $10,000 profit on the transaction. Now, the other party is going to take that property, they're going to close, and they're going to go fix it up, and they're either going to rent it out or flip it or whatever they're going to do. But that is wholesaling. Okay, so wholesaling means you don't have to have much money. Now, the wholesaling process, you have to find a person to buy the contract, and the person whoever's going to buy the contract is usually looking to take a property and improve it. They just don't want to go out and do all the hunting and looking and negotiating and all that stuff. It does create efficiency and value for the person who buys the contract. So your job or your business process as a wholesaler is to be looking around trying to find houses that could have value, improvement, and creation for somebody to get it from you and then make a profit selling it to an owner occupier or somebody else who wants to, maybe they'll fix it up and sell it at a profit to somebody who wants to hold it for income. Because some people don't like fixing up houses and doing all that. I'm one of them. Okay, I did my time flipping. I'm out. Okay, I don't like dealing with contractors. All right, so I would be a person who might buy a property from a person that even bought it from a wholesaler, pay a bit more money, but still be able to just collect the cash flow and take that appreciation over time. All right, so those are your four. Again, to recap: self-directed individual retirement account, which is money you accumulated, and you have to have it as a self-directed IRA, not one that's prepackaged, so that you can have latitude by IRS rules in terms of how you can further deploy the money to make money on it. Hard and private money loans, which again, both are private, not from banks. Hard money loans are short-term lending to get and fix the property. Your private money mortgages are the long-term financing. Again, non-bank financing. Peer-to-peer, which is either directly engaging someone or using some technology platform to aggregate money to give you the long-term financing. And then wholesaling, which is generally going to be used to flip, but you make a profit by selling a contract above the value of the actual price that you agreed to on the original contract with the seller. All right, so those are your four things. So Maestro, being that you're the only person I can talk to directly, tell me what you got from that discussion. And if there's anybody who has questions, please share those and I'll make sure I get a chance to answer.
Yeah. Well, Bobby Jean Ford is joining us. She says good morning.
Hey, homegirl.
And for me, I mean, it's just, we're just talking about ways of getting funding for your investment property. So those are four of the typical ways that you can get funding. So that's pretty much what we get from that, from my standpoint. And again, I think you made a great point saying that if you're looking to and you're interested in that, definitely reach out to an expert, right? Or research these topics yourself, and so that you can be educated on what these things are and how you would use them in your to build your portfolio. So yeah.
Exactly. Now, Mike, I want to ask you if you're able to, this particular article, go ahead and post that in the chat, because again,
I did.
bring you
Yeah.
credible sources. Okay, thank you. Because we want you to understand, and some people, don't believe unless they can stick their hand in the side and finger in the hole. You know what I'm talking about? But be educated, be informed, because see, I say the fear is lack of knowledge. Fundamentally, the biggest reason why people don't go into business, why people don't invest in real estate, even though I would say if there are three things I know almost every living, breathing human being wants to do, is they want to write a book, start a business, and invest in real estate. Okay. All right. So I can't help you with the book writing, but the other two, we've got resources to help you to get those done, but fear holds them back. And so we're here to help and guide and direct. But I would love, as I'm sure you would, Maestro, if you're going to be working with someone, for them to be relatively and reasonably informed about what it is they're going to be doing, so they have some level of confidence, one, in vetting you, or in this case, me, as somebody who is a suitable mentor or someone suitable to engage to help them to start with this quest. And the second is so that, we start speaking the same language. I've got a talk I got to do later today where language is where we can exchange ideas. We have to have a common language. So if you invest time, at least with this article, and may this begin your quest through other sources. The good thing is, instead of paper, this is digital. It's got links embedded that you can get additional information about these topics here. For example, the peer-to-peer loan. All you got to do is click on it. It's amazing how smart you can get and how fast you can get smart by using tools like technology is providing for us. And so again, these are the five main areas where you can access capital. Six. I forgot the sixth one. All right. And here it says is it easier to raise capital for commercial or residential? Well, here, and I agree with this, it says that generally speaking, commercial property is going to have higher profit margins. I have these conversations with people, and I say that, if you're doing $100,000 deal versus doing $1 million deal, one, there's a lot more margin for error on the $1 million. And even if it's the same percentage, let's just say that your revenue is going to be, your profit is going to be 20% of the income, the rental income, after all expenses are taken out. Well, let's just say that your income on your single family property was going to be, let's just say it's $10,000 a year, to keep the math simple. All right. So if we're talking 20% of that, then we're only talking $1,000. But now let's say on your $1 million, you're getting $100,000 a year. 10% of that is $10,000. So again, the margin is increased and the volume of dollars is increased as well. So again, commercial property. I know, in fact, Meister, remember we had, what was her name? Minocia Dixon. She was on the show really early. You guys go back and look up that episode. But she is in the Navy, stationed currently in California. But she started off investing in commercial properties in other states. I mean, her vision is that she wants to have her business called Anasa, but she wants to have commercial properties, multifamily units, commercial residential properties all over the country under her brand. And she's gotten 3 projects well underway. I'm really proud of her. And she's like in her, I think in the late 20s or early 30s. She's like, I think an E5 in the Navy. So all I'm saying is, just because it's a big apartment building, the general concepts still apply. There are books, there are programs that you can educate yourself, and we can help you finance those as well. Now, most people, again, are going to start on single family residential, but it just says here that the key thing is you want to make sure that you have stable revenue, whether you're getting a bunch of units by buying one commercial property or you start accumulating single family houses. And so to the extent that, this is how you go about raising capital, these are the key areas. We want to make sure that we support you here at the Private Money Syndicate with getting private money loans and hard money loans that can help you to get going as a real estate investor. Now, one thing I'll say is a lot of people might misuse, and it's getting a bit technical, say splitting hairs. If they're a flipper, they say they're a real estate investor. Well, that's transactional. Okay, I buy it for one price, I sell it for another. Whether I'm wholesaling it or rehabbing it and selling it to an owner occupant, that's transactional real estate. Again, I don't particularly like doing that. This is me, not you, because I did it and I made money at it, but it was a little bit too busy for me. Okay. I like to do something once, keep getting paid. I don't know about y'all, but I like to do it once and keep getting paid. All right. Predictable recurring sources of revenue. So investing technically is when you buy a property, hold the property, own the property, put long-term financing on it. Then you get a tenant in there who is not only paying the mortgage, but what they're paying above the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and any incidental expenses is money that you're collecting as a return on your investment. Now, there are 2 ways that you can make capital from a investment property. Now, when I say a capital, this is called what they call a liquidity event. So I've been collecting rent, let's just say, for the past 10 years. The property has gone up from 100,000 with inflation and whatever to 200,000. Well, one of the things that I recommend folks do, instead of selling your cash cow, let's say you sold it for 100, you sold it for 200, and you had $100,000 that, let's just say you had $75,000 you still owe. You got closing costs. And let's say that all that takes you up to $100,000. You put $100,000 of profit in your pocket. I had $100,000 of expense on a $200,000 sale. My profit is $100,000, but now I don't have a house anymore.
Right.
What I advise, and it works for a lot of people, is to do what they call a cash out refinance. With a cash out refinance, you still hold the property. Now, what happens, Maestro? I just want you to, I'm asking this as pop quiz. Over a 10-year period, what do you think would happen to the rents? You think somebody be paying the same rent 10 years from the time they lived in a property? Or would it go up?
No, typically the trend is that rents go up,
Rents
actually.
go
So,
up.
yeah.
And they've really gone up in the past 3 years, ridiculously almost. But people got to have somewhere to live. I mean, sincerely. All right. So your rents are going to go up. So you say, well, I would have paid the mortgage down over 10 years, but now I'm going to take out a new mortgage. Now, generally, you can cash out, refinance 75% of the value. So if the property was worth $200,000, 75% of 200 is $150,000. Right? $150,000. If you paid off the $75,000 plus closing costs, you say, well, only put $50,000 cash in my pocket. You put $50,000 cash in your pocket, but you still have cash flow from the property. You still have another $50,000 equity if you decide to sell it later. All those are still on the table, right? Where if you just straight out sold it, then you got to find something to do with the cash, which might be buy another property, put it in something else, put it in the bank, pay off some bills. That's your call. But all I'm saying is what I like, because I like predictable recurring sources of income, is the cash out refinance, because I can take that cash and do something with it. But you know what, Maestro? The hidden secret in that is that cash from a cash out refinance is not taxable. Why? Because it's a loan. Now, let's just take the person who made $100,000 in capital gains from selling a property above what they bought it for. Let's just say that they're in a 30% tax bracket. Well, after taxes, that 100 is down to 70. And they don't have the same cash flow from the property. Now, they might find something smart to do with it, but I'm saying you can have a tax-free event by cash out refinancing, still own the property, still have depreciation, and still have recurring income. That's why, for me, in my house, I say that you do a cash out refinance instead of selling this. You just don't want the property anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes total sense.
All right. Anybody else to speak to, or any questions before I go to the next article that adds a little bit more detail to what we've been discussing here?
Yeah, no, Satish asked a question. He says, in the current market, is it a prime time to expand into real estate as a novice?
Well, Satish, this is, I would encourage you to work with the Private Money Syndicate, and here's why. This is not a self-serving comment. I've had a group that I've been working with. In fact, this week makes a year of the Flip Money Not Houses Flip Money Not Houses coaching program. And as you would know, from just about anything in life, you got your bell curve. You know, I've got, a couple of people that bought properties did well. I got some still working on stuff, and then I got some that dropped out. Okay, that's just people. Has nothing to do with me. That's just what folks do. But the fact of the matter is, I cannot tell you how many boo-boos the ones that bought properties would have made if left to their own devices. As in the bell curve of life, most people who start investing in real estate drop out because they make those mistakes. I call that infant mortality. You may have heard me use that term before. If you're going to work with the Private Money Syndicate, we have 0% infant mortality, because I am not going to let you get a loan from me. Now, if you go out and do something on your own, that's your business. You're grown. But if I'm going to be involved in helping you fund the transaction, I can coach you on the financing. I can coach you on the acquisition. I can coach you and support you in terms of the renovations and contractor work, which is the part I told you I don't like, but I know all about it. So I can definitely tell you what to look out for there. And then how to hold it, manage it, and all the things long term. Again, there are books, there are programs that you can pay thousands of dollars for, which I paid for thousands of dollars for. They can give you guidance, but what would be better? In fact, this is one of the things, Maestro, we talked about with the 10,000 Dreams Challenge. What if somebody gave you all the resources, gave you the recipe, and was there to walk you through the process? Can you go wrong with that scenario? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so Satish, that's my answer to you. It is a great time to invest in real estate, for you to, jump behind the, controls in the cockpit of a plane just because you read a magazine or a book or watched a video. It's the same thing with real estate. You got to practice, and it's best that you have an instructor pilot or somebody there to go through you. Now, after you've done it 2 or 3 times, you'll get it. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have to be an ongoing thing, but I would definitely encourage anybody, whether they go to a real estate investment club or find somebody who's been an investor for years, I tell people partner with them. If you got the money and everything, give them a piece of the deal. They got skin in the game. They won't tell you wrong, but you actually get to ride the bike with training wheels before you try to jump on it the first time. But Maestro, you remember what happened to you the first time you jumped on a bicycle, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I fell.
There you go. Exactly. All right. So T's not trying to be too comical about this. You need the training wheels to give you the greatest probability of success.
I think he appreciates the comical part, though.
And like I said, here at the Private Money Syndicate, 0% infant mortality. That's our guarantee. I can guarantee you that. So, all right. Any other questions or comments? Everybody else say good morning to.
Yeah, well, Ebony just says that was one of her favorite episodes, and she was very inspiring. Speaking about that episode you mentioned, yeah, okay. Definitely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Matter of fact, she and I were interacting. She was looking at buying another property. I'm trying to remember where this was. She has one in Oklahoma, one in California. She's got a lot in California. She's going to do new construction on, and then she bought a property in New York, and I think the one that she was looking at is in Maryland somewhere, and we were working on the financing and stuff for that about a month ago. So she's still at it, while she's over in California, bringing people into the U.S. Navy. So all I'm saying is this young lady is going to be a multimillionaire in the next, say, 10 years or so. By the time she comes out of the Navy, it's going to be, say all she wrote. And that can be you too. And we love to help you. We love to work with you. All right. So now I'm going to flip to another article to extract something that my computer will not be so slow. All right. And let me know, Maestro, if you see raising capital for real estate, the 6 steps.
Good to go.
All right. Good to go. All right. So let me just kind of start here, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Just going to bring it back down. But all right, so here's the title, Raising Capital for Real Estate in 6 Steps. But now the key takeaways, as we were saying, the Army bottom line up front. Okay, and all this is going to be accessible through this article, and Maestro put it in the chat if he hadn't already done so. It starts off with the premise, what is investment capital? What are the money partners? Get to the point, how to raise, tips for raising capital, and then some books that you can read on that. All right, so I want to skip through a lot of this because we talked through. Now let me define this word, because again, capital gets used in a very ubiquitous way, right? Capital is what goes into the acquisition and the creation of value for a project. Now there are 2 sides of the capital. There's your cash, all right, that you put in, but as we talked about, real estate allows you to use a lot of leverage, and so here it says OPM, other people's money. Now, from the standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have the money for your down payment, going back to our $100,000 purchase, if you need 25% down, you could go through Operating in the Black, and they could get you a credit. Daniel's done this for several of our clients. In fact, he just got one, a $40,000 loan, the one that we talked about, Maurice. So he can go out and buy some more property, right? But you can use that for your down payment. All right. Again, you have to be able to service that note. But my point is, and here's what I tell people. I say, now look, and think about this, y'all, because you think $40,000. I see money scares people. If you don't, it's like a knife or it's like fire. You got to know how to use it, right? That's why I say, Satish, have somebody working with you. If let's just suppose you could borrow, I'll keep the number small. Let's say you could borrow $25,000 and your payment on that was going to be $600 a month. Well, now you say, if I can service $600 a month, I now control $25,000 that I can put into something that I'll be able to increase value, buy it, increase value, refinance, pay that debt off, the $25,000, and now I'm making $300-$400. Let's just say $200-$300 a month positive cash flow. Have equity that I can capture later on through a refinance or a sale. I mean, so the real thing you need to have is some source of $600 a month. You don't have to have $25,000, folks. So again, Raising capital is understanding how capital works and how to make it pay for itself, because ultimately, whenever an investment is made, the objective is to create a profit. Okay. So in real estate, unlike most other businesses, all this stuff is what I call formulaic. All right. You can figure it all out on paper. And if the math don't work out, ball that piece of paper up and recalculate. You don't have to do it just blindly going and hoping. Most all these things in real estate are formulaic, to where we can figure it out within a reasonable margin of error and help you to succeed. All right. So that's capital. So let me get on down here to the all right, partners. So let me talk about money partners. Let me talk about partners, period. But money partners, sometimes people have found a good deal. All right. And they don't have the money. And then there's this other person over here who has, let's just say, the $25,000, and or they got the good credit. Okay, you got the money, but your credit's like 500, and this person has got a 800 credit score. So y'all partner up, because now your financial profile meets the necessity to be able to acquire a property, because you got to have some reasonable credit and you got to have cash. So whether you got the cash, they got the credit, they've got the credit, you got, let me say it right, they got the cash, you got the credit. Or let's just say this person has the money and you found a property that will be a profitable opportunity for both of you. Partner up. Now, the great thing about this is going to blow your daggum mind. All right. By using a limited liability corporation, LLC, you can bring somebody in as a partner initially, because who's going to own that piece of real estate? The LLC. Y'all can have an agreement that at a certain point, that person will be removed from the entity. So let's just suppose, Maestro, that I found this property, and let's say I needed some money. Let's say I don't need the whole money. Let's say credit. No, let's just say I need a credit partner. All right, so you got 800 credit, I got 500 credit, I got the $25,000. Say, hey, look, man, for me to get this property, I need you to come be my partner. And what I'll do is, after we acquire the property, get it renovated, and I refinance it, which let's just say that's 90 days from now. I will pay you $5,000 for the privilege of you coming in this with me, for the fact that you got your good credit, and then after that, you go about your merry way. Why would that be a good idea for Maestro to do that? Because remember, private money loans don't show up on the credit report. No one will know that he came into this transaction with me and used his good credit score to help me to make this investment. And for the privilege of doing that, he's going to get $5,000. Now, we can come up with whatever arrangement we decide to come up with. He can stay a partner forever. He could get some of the cash flow for a period of time, whatever the deal is. But all I'm saying is, because the entity owns the property, and then the partners own the entity, whatever agreement we had to disengage, if that's what we choose to do, somewhere around down the road, he can still be rewarded for just having good credit. Now, how many of y'all know somebody who got good credit? All of us know somebody who's got good credit, right? And so, again, one of the things I do here at the Private Money Syndicate is I have people bring people to me who got stuff that they don't have. I know that's a bonus, but you know what I mean. And so I help them to understand how this can get them paid for using what they have, whether it's money, property, credit, knowledge. All those things are valuable. And so, again, using these techniques allow you to get into the real estate investment game, even if all you know is me. All right, that's really where it starts, right here. If that's where you got to start. All right, Maestro, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Is that exciting to you? That's probably even a better question.
Yeah. I mean, definitely because it just shows there's a lot of different ways to do stuff. It's not just one way. So you got to really educate yourself, or find somebody who can help you navigate it, you know?
Very good. Thank you, sir. That is correct. All right. So now I'm just going to talk from these points right here and not go through the details of the article, because I want to make it available for you to be able to read it yourself. So let me enlarge it here. All right. I think I passed it. Let me go back down. There we go. All right. So these points right here. All right. So anybody who's going to come into the transaction with you, whether it's with cash, whether it's a lender who's a private lender or bank lender, no matter, but who's going to put most of the money up now, right? All right. The lender is going to generally have 75% of the money in the deal. All right. So what are they worried about? What have you got to be able to present to them in a logical, evidence-based fashion? First of all, how are you going to protect their capital? Well, a few things happen. I say our time is running short in the real estate transaction game that don't happen in almost any other business. There's something called an appraisal. Okay, an appraisal is going to say, what is this worth now? If you do these things to fix it up, what is it going to be worth later? All right, now remember, the lender is only putting up 70, 75%. So if something goes wrong and they have to take it back, they can sell it quickly sell it just to get their money back and maybe a little bit on top. All right, so that's one protection. The other is when that appraisal is done, they look at the market rents. Okay, is this an active rental market? Yes, it is. What are people paying for rent? Well, we know what the debt is. We know what the insurance is going to be. And again, that's another protection. If it burns down, blows up, whatever the heck, it's going to get paid for by the insurance. Because you see all these protections in there, right? Most people don't think about this, but this is protecting the capital. The appraisal does that, and there's something called underwriting. The underwriting looks at all the real estate factors. They look at the contractor who you're going to use and the rehab that's going to be done to the property and all that stuff. All that is looked at, reviewed by professionals. It ain't Joe Blow shade tree trying to say that, hey, pie in the sky. This is all figured by professionals. That's why I say this is the easiest, lowest risk business to go into. All right, promise realistic returns. To me, that's formula. What's the math? The appraisal said the market rents are $1,000. We know what the interest rate is. We know what the mortgage payments are going to be. We know what the insurance and taxes are going to be. The house is renovated, so we ain't going to have any repairs for the next 2-3 years unless somebody tears stuff up. We get a security deposit when somebody moves in. We're taking to court if they, tear it up too bad. And again, if they don't pay the rent, we kick them out and get somebody else in. Again, realistic returns are pretty reliable. Prove your potential. Again, if you just bought a real estate book or just heard me talking this morning and you need credibility for somebody to help you to have credibility, partner with somebody who's done. Partner with Maurice Jones. He's got like 40 some odd properties. Partner with a number of other people who may be in your area or anywhere. It doesn't really matter. The point is partner with a contractor. That double improves the fact he won't mess you over. All right. So again, that potential is about the credibility. A track record, again, is about credibility. Okay. And then the fact that, a great deal, again, the appraisal and the contract, the purchase agreement. Are you buying it are you overpaying for the property? Well, the appraisal is going to tell you that. Now it's going to cost you $600 or $700 for that lesson, but I'll help you to figure that out before you even do it. All right. And so again, the track record is how many you've done, who's working with you, who's done them. I've had people partner with people just for the track record. And then promote relationship building. If you work with a lender, you work with an investment partner, and you have a successful transaction the first time, guess what? They're going to invite you over to dinner. You're going to invite them over to dinner. Y'all going to invite each other into the next opportunity. You're going to invite each other into the next deal. I mean, those are the things that actually breathe life into these factors that I talked about earlier from the Forbes article in terms of why, when you raise capital, the means of raising capital, it goes to this thing called real estate investing. That is the easiest business in the world for you to not only start with, but to make money with. So I'm going to roll this thing all the way back to the beginning, which is, again, this article is raising capital for real estate in 6 steps. And so it down there gave you those 6 steps that could help you to put that money under your control, apply it to a project, make not only cash money, but again, get those tax advantages and then the future opportunities to reap a harvest through cash out refinance or by selling the property, which I say, no. Just cash out refinance, take that money, do something smart with it, which might include buying your second one, your third one, your fourth one. And I say, when you get 5, you're bulletproof, because unlikely will you have 2 vacancies. And even if you have 2 vacancies, the other 3 are still covering the payment on your whole portfolio. You're still making money if you only have 1 vacancy, which is generally the situation if you have any vacancies at all for more than 30 days, because people give you notice unless you kick them out. And there's always somebody looking for a really nice place to rent to call home. All right. So Maestro, that's the story of how to raise capital for you and everybody watching and listening to start investing in real estate. Do you have any questions? Anybody else got any questions? Because we got 3 minutes.
No questions. And no, I don't have any questions. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, it was good.
All right. Well, hey, y'all can tell I know what I'm talking about, I hope. And again, read it for yourself. Learn before you earn. That's one of the things I always say. But as I always say, if you're going to go in business, stay in business, you got to mind your business. And real estate is the easiest business in the world to mind. And I thank y'all for showing up. I want to wish everybody a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Maestro to take us on home.
Yeah. Thank you for your support, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all take care.
Take care.